Gang, on the phone with Stewart Copeland, founder of the Police, fellow Virginian, born in Alexandria. How you doing, bud?
Real good. Looking forward to getting back home.
And I was reading up on it's Stewart Copeland's Orchestral Ben-Hur.
Sounds kind of weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can explain that.
Okay.
It's a big orchestra, me on drums, and overhead is this classic film, this ancient masterpiece of the silent film era, Ben-Hur, A Tale of the Christ, made 40 years before the Charlton Heston version, which was just called Ben-Hur. This one is a lot bigger. In those days, I'd always thought of these ancient black and white movies as kind of herky-jerky Charlie Chaplin stuff. But
yeah,
actually, they really did have a lot of artistry and a lot of creativity working with the technology that they had. And, man, they had a lot of extras. The scale of the battle scenes, the pirate battle, they have actual ships in the ocean crashing into each other with thousands of extras diving into the water for dear life. They lost a few shooting that film. So the scale of the film is enormous. It started out as a concert with this music that I'd written for Ben-Hur, an arena production, and I was going to just have some slides as a backdrop, some scenes of Ben-Hur from various different places. But then I discovered this ancient movie, this 80-year-old movie, and the movie kind of rose in prominence and has moved down to the front of the stage, and it's more about the movie now. It's still a concert with a big orchestra and me on drums, but this enormous film.
From 1925, right?
Yeah, black and white silent film. And the silent part is pretty cool, too, which means I get to play all the way through. 20 years as a film composer, I've been dodging dialogue and sound effects, but not this time.
A little background for those that don't know. There are people that think Sting founded the Police. Not at all true. Stewart Copeland's the one that put that band together and actually hired Sting. It wasn't the other way around. And you have a really unusual sound to your drumming. And I did some research, and I found out you spent some time in Africa, and you just have such an unusual beat.
Well, actually, probably the most important ingredient was that I was born in Virginia, and when I was 2 months old, my family moved to Cairo, Egypt, and from there to Beirut, Lebanon. Both wonderful cities, by the way, when I was there. They've all gone to rack and ruin since I left. But the cultural environment, this Arabic music, was all over all the time, and I guess I'm kind of steeped in that sound. And once again, Ben-Hur is very ethnic. It's set in the Holy Land, in Antioch and in Jerusalem, mostly in Jerusalem. And so this music, although it's a classical orchestra playing it, it's very ethnic, what I've done with it. And I'll be flying in tracks that I recorded in Istanbul and very exotic stuff that I picked up for the arena show, which I'm going to use in this show as well.
Wow. Chrysler Hall, and that is April 19th, as you bring music to the big screen. That is kind of we've got a bunch of old theaters here where that used to happen on a regular basis, and it's so cool to go back and get a black and white print. Did you have to digitize the new version, or what did they do with that? I'm glad
you asked. That was another whole groove, curating the film. The original film was 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Wow.
Really long. And I couldn't keep an orchestra in their seats for that long, nor an audience, I don't think, these days. So I've got my version of the movie, which is 90 minutes.
Okay.
And it still tells all the stories, still has all the cool stuff. It has all the battle scenes, it has the chariot race. And another aspect, which actually isn't in the Charlton Heston version, is the spiritual side of it, the religious aspect of this film, which is about how Jesus and love win the day. Is actually very important to the man General Lew Wallace, who wrote the book.
Right, that was the whole thing. That was the subtitle. And actually on the Ben-Hur film, if you get one of the DVD Blu-ray versions, it has Ben-Hur, and then when the credits roll, it says the story of the Christ.
Yeah, go figure.
But that's not part of the normal title when they advertise
part of this movie. It's, even my sinful heart is moved by these scenes in the movie. They're very important, and I get it. I feel the power of these scenes, and I've written some big music for Jesus Christ. It's because it's a big moment, and it's very powerful in the movie. And but the film itself, this ancient celluloid, 80 years old, was last brought out of the vault in the 60s when they shot it to video, which is what you can see on a DVD in most places where they play these old movies.
Yeah.
But I was able, it took 2 years to get through the labyrinth of Warner Brothers and Turner Classics to get a license to dig out the original print and telecine it again. So I now have this beautiful version, which I've been curating, and I've had to deal with the colors are somewhat faded, but I've been able to get in there and make the blacks truly black and the whites truly white. There were tints that they did back in the day, kind of a magenta dip or an amber dip. So there is kind of color in the movie. There are even a few scenes, where they had a rudimentary early version of color film, which couldn't see blue. It had all the other colors of the spectrum, just not blue, which for the Virgin Mary is kind of a problem for her trademark blue. Yeah. But it's beautiful all the same. So I've had to take this ancient images and kind of de-scratch it as much as possible, reproduce the original blacks and whites contrasts and tints and so on, and curating the film, as well as cutting it down from 2 hours and 20 down to 90 minutes, has been a real voyage of creating the film at the same time as I'm creating a 430-page score for a giant orchestra.
Wow. I can't wait.
It's been a mission.
I really can't wait. This is just going to be a great experience. And if you'd like to catch this, Chrysler Hall is the place, April 19th. Get your tickets in advance. I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much, Stewart.
Well, thank you. Can't wait to see you all there.